Man, Pokemon is absolutely insane, isn't it? This weekend was so nuts with the release of Scarlet and Violet, and we'll talk about Scarlet and Violet price crashes or whatever you want to call them, probably in Thursday or Friday's video, but there are other cards that have absolutely lost their mind, all because of rotation. We talked about this a few weeks ago on this channel. I talked to you guys about several cards that I thought, okay, you probably want to pull these out of your bulk as we start moving forward when the format rotates. We had the Fort Wayne Regional Championship in Indiana over this past weekend, and it was so much fun. I got to meet so many of you guys. Thank you so much for all the kind words. I had an absolute blast. The next one that we'll be vending at is in Milwaukee. That is June 2nd to the 4th. You can go to day2events.com to get all the information on it. It's going to be so much fun. I hope to see you guys out there if you're within driving distance, or even if you want to take a trip out to Milwaukee. Hope to meet a lot of you out there as well. But the interesting thing about this regional that we just finished vending on was, first of all, it was the release weekend of a new set. Sometimes you'll have a regional that occurs like a week before a new set drops, so you can't really sell any product at those. Or sometimes you'll have a regional event that happens a few weeks after a set drops, so prices have already started to crash. But this one was very interesting and unique because Scarlet and Violet released on Friday, which is when the haul opened up to customers, so we didn't price any cards for Scarlet and Violet until a couple hours before the event doors actually opened. And it was insane watching the prices just drop and drop and drop and drop, and it was so crazy to try and keep up with them throughout the weekend because Scarlet and Violet, the pull rates are absolutely amazing, right? You can open up a booster box and get 12 to 13 hits, but because of that, that means supply is overwhelming the market, and with everybody kind of trying to sell off duplicates and triplicates, those prices really got hit super hard. Some of them starting to bounce back, and like I said, we'll talk about that later in the week. But the other interesting tidbit about this tournament was that it is the last tournament in this current format. So if you don't follow competitive play, I highly recommend you at least keep up with it, because I think even collectors, store owners, investors even, like, you need to keep up with what's going on in the market because it is absolutely fascinating to watch. So when rotation happens, several cards that are currently competitive and used in decks with a certain printing logo on the bottom of the card rotate out, which means they're no longer legal for use. So Fort Wayne was the last set that D block card. So if you look at the bottom corner of your card on the left hand corner, there should be a letter. So if it says D, that means it's rotating out of standard format. It cannot be used in competitive decks anymore. So that's why cards like Capture Energy, Drizzile, Quick Ball, and others have seen such a significant drop over the past few months. But if you remember, a few weeks ago, we started talking about several other cards that once rotation happens, you may want to start pulling out of your bulk set aside because you don't want to be selling these cards for pennies on the dollar in case they start really blowing up in price. And over the weekend, they blew up in price. We have the next standard event is going to be the European International Championship event. So that's EUIC. That's going to happen in just under 2 weeks. So we're only 2 weeks away from that, and watching these single prices, I don't know if you guys have seen what's been going on, but it's been absolutely nuts. So I wanted to cover it. I wanted to record a video on it just so you know what these cards are worth right now, so that way you're not selling them for less, because the last thing you want to do is sell these cards for less than what they're worth, and you can use these for trade bait, for trades that you can start to fill out your collection binder. If you're trying to fill out your Scarlet and Violet, or you're still working on Crown Zenith, or whatever the case may be, these cards start having more value to them, so they're going to be worth more when it comes to trades and things like that. So the first one that we're going to be looking at is Regieleki V. This is the full art variant. The regular art variant has not seen much of an impact at all because it's been printed multiple times. It's been a box promo, so there are lots of those kind of flooding the market all over the place. But if you want to look at the full art, we're only looking at a month worth of data here. So you can see this card going from $6.71 up to $9.82 in the span of 1 month, not even a full month. So you can see, as you look at the graph there, just very steady growth, kind of skyrocketing from the beginning of March 4th there, until this past weekend, just rising and rising. And that's because with the release of Miraidon EX, a lot of competitive players thinking, okay, this might be something that I'm going to want to use at the International Championships in a couple weeks. I got to make sure I get my Regieleki Vs. I got to make sure I get my Regieleki VMAXs, pair that up with Miraidon, and boom, all of a sudden I'm ready for EUIC. So this card has really started seeing a big impact, especially over the past weekend. Likewise with the Regieleki VMAX, which absolutely exploded in price, and you can see how big of a jump it made just over the past few days. So this card was hovering right around that $6.91 mark. This card had already grown quite a bit. It was basically a bulk VMAX. It was selling for anywhere between $2 and $3 over the past few months. And then at the beginning of March, we talked about in the video, it kind of stayed right around $6 at that point in time, all the way up until the end of March with the release of Scarlet and Violet. And look what happened. It went from about $8 overnight to $23.36. These were being sold at one point in time on TCG Player after being bought out. They were right around that $30 mark. Absolutely insane to see what is going on in the competitive market. And that's what the competitive market can do to some of these cards. It's really, really crazy to think about. And that's one of the reasons why I like the market so much, because I just find it fascinating that just the span of a couple of days, a tweak in rotation, a tweak in the format can cause things like this, cards that were basically a bulk VMAX at one point in time a month ago, to skyrocket in price to being one of the most expensive cards in the Silver Tempest set. You can see this card more expensive than the Lugia V-Star, right up there, very close to the gold Lugia V-Star in pricing, selling at $23.36 currently. Same thing with the Rainbow Rare, also seeing huge growth, but that's because a lot of people were like, okay, the Regieleki VMAX is getting too expensive. I'm going to get the Rainbow Rare variant, the higher rarity one, because it's actually cheaper than the VMAX. You can see this card selling for basically $9.96 for the majority of March, all the way up until the last weekend of March, March 29th or so, 28th, started taking off like crazy, sitting at $19.29 currently. That's just off of its high, which it hit over the weekend of $20.09. And like I said, this one and its regular version at one point in time were selling for about $30 over the weekend, which is crazy to think about. Sky Sealstone, this is a super good card. This was pulled out of Crown Zenith, so if you're opening up a lot of Crown Zenith, you might have a lot of Sky Sealstones kind of hanging out in your bulk. Very, very good card in the competitive format. Basically reminds me a lot of Computer Search, where you can go, or no, not Computer Search, where you can take an extra prize card. So it's very, very handy when it comes to competitive battles. But you can see right around $2-3 for the majority of March, all the way up until March 28th, 29th, and then started taking off again. You can see it jumped all the way up to $10.58 over the weekend. It's backed off very slightly at $9.24. But this card right here is selling for more than that Mew, selling more than the Pikachu. It's right up there with the Secret Rare Pikachu as far as pricing goes, selling for more than the Drapion V, which is in the back half of the Glaring Gallery. Same thing with the Hoopa. It's more expensive than a lot of those cards that you might pull that you are ultra rares out of Crown Zenith. So you can use this as trade bait to maybe help fill out your binder a little bit more. Sky Sealstone, just absolutely crazy. Forest Sealstone also doing the same thing as what Sky Sealstone. This is the one that kind of reminds me a lot of Computer Search. You basically just to go get to look through your deck for any card that you need without having to discard any cards, which sometimes comes in handy. And you can only use one V-Star power per game, but definitely the ability to keep consistency going throughout your deck, very, very important in the competitive format. And you can see this card skyrocketing over the weekend as well, right around $3-4 for the majority of March, and then basically the weekend happened and it took off, sitting at $9.21 throughout the weekend. It's backed off a little bit, sitting at $8.71 right now, but you're looking at basically 200% that it's grown over the span of just a few days. This Gardevoir that we talked about from Chilling Reign, this Shiny Arcana Gardevoir, has been absolutely nuts. You can see just slowly, steadily grinding and growing throughout March. At one point in time, it did hit the $3 mark. That was right around March 26th, 27th. But at the beginning of the month, when we first talked about this card, and I said, okay, we want to pull this card out of your bulk, it was sitting at $1. And look what it's done over the past few weeks. And then over the weekend, at one point in time, this card was selling for $9.29 on TCG Player. Backed off a little bit, still sitting extremely high. It's right around that $9 mark right now, but still ridiculously high just for a holo rare that was just out of Chilling Reign. The same thing for the deck exclusives. This is the rare variant, so you would have gotten this in build and battle kits from Chilling Reign. So if you opened up some build and battle kits from Chilling Reign, those pre-release kits, the sealed pack might have had some Gardevoirs in it. This is the non-holo variant. Also took off like crazy, but that's because the holo variant got too expensive, so people started looking for the next best option, which was the non-holo rare. But you can see right around 25 cents, 30 cents for the majority of March, and then right at the end of March over the weekend took off like a rocket, sitting at $6.16 currently. But at one point in time it crossed the $7 mark, which is absolutely insane. Same thing with the Trainer Gallery card from Brilliant Stars. This one has gone absolutely nuts because it's the same attack, the same ability, the Shining Arcana Gardevoir, but this was a very cheap Trainer Gallery card. Remember, it's located in the front half of the trainer gallery, so it's a little bit easier to pull, hovering right around that $2 mark for the majority of March, and then started rising very slowly in the middle of March, and then took off like crazy right there at the end. March 24th, you saw a huge bump, and then March 29th, you saw another big bump. This was selling for over $13 at one point in time over the weekend. Its high point of $12.34, back down a little bit, still sitting at $10.48. But that's more than the Gengar. That's more than the Charizard from Lost Origin. This card, just because of competitive play, absolutely skyrocketed. The Drapion V, this is a huge card. This is from Lost Origin. No box promo for this one, so it does have a little bit of potential to climb. We'll see how well it does in the next format, but because of its ability to be able to really lock down Mew, a very important card in the competitive format, that Mew VMAX from Fusion Strike is really the cause of seeing these gains over the past month. But you can see what it did over the past weekend. Moving forward into the next format, especially with Mew, with Gardevoir, you can see for the majority of March hovering right around a bulk V pricing, right around that $3.50, $1.60. And then at the end of March there on the 24th, it started taking off. It's almost doubled in price, sitting at $3.15 currently and continuing to climb. If we look at the Gardevoir EX, this one's interesting. This one in the Miraidon, because we had some very interesting price changes that happened throughout the weekend when it came to Scarlet and Violet, if you were keeping track of these. And I screenshotted everything like normal, so we'll be able to look at the price changes in a video later on this week. But the Gardevoir EX at one point in time had fallen down to basically $4 that people were selling it for on TCG Player. Like I said, the market just got flooded with so many hits that Scarlet and Violet produced, and people started turning these over, and Scarlet and Violet crashed extremely hard. You've seen a lot of buzz on Twitter, on Instagram, on various social media platforms about the Miriam, about all the special illustration rares just really falling like crazy. No different than the Gardevoir EX, because people were trying, it's a race to the bottom. You know, people are trying to make sure that they can move their copies, even if it means they're going to take a slight loss on the card. But at one point in time, this was selling for $19.15 for pre-order and fell down to that $4 mark. But just the span of a couple days, what it's done over the past couple days, it's gone basically from $4 up to $7.61 and continuing to climb. So you might see Gardevoir hit that $10 mark over the next few days, really bouncing back extremely nicely. Same thing with the Miraidon. This was selling at one point in time for $33.99. That's just pre-order pricing, so not a whole lot of copies sold. But then it dipped down to about $6 throughout the weekend. When I was looking last night as I was putting this presentation together, the lowest available copy on TCG Player was right around $10. So you can see the current market price jumping up to $8.88. So it's basically gained about 30% over the past couple days and might continue to go up. I don't think we're going to see situations anymore where you have regular art EXs hit $25 to $30. If you remember, there was a time when Reshiram and Charizard, Mewtwo and Mew, those GX cards kind of hit that $25, $30 mark. Even Zacian V, when it originally came out in the Sword and Shield set, hit about $20, $25 because people, there just wasn't as much being opened. But now with the supply that's out there constantly being opened, I don't think we'll get to that point. But seeing $10, $15, we've seen that before with Lugia, we've seen that before with Palkia, we've seen it before with Arceus. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw cards like Miraidon and Gardevoir EX just in their basic stages hit that $10 to $15 mark, especially if they perform extremely well in the competitive format. Battle VIP Pass seeing some nice jumps over the past couple weeks. You can see at the beginning of the month it started right around 87 cents. It's almost doubled in price throughout the entire month, sitting at $1.40 right now. Here's that little E marker right here, which means that it's going to be legal in the format moving forward. If this were to say D, that would mean that it would be rotating out. So Battle VIP Pass at least going to be around for quite a while, quite a few more major events. Same thing with Judge. Judge continues to see very big climbs. This Judge card, or not this specific Judge card, but Judge is also in the new Scarlet and Violet set. So you can pull Judge out of a Scarlet and Violet booster pack, but this is just the Fusion Strike variant that saw some huge moves over the weekend. You can see it hovering right around that $1.70 mark up until March 28th or so, and then jumped up about 45 cents or so basically over the span of 3 days. It went up about 30%. So it's sitting at $2.10 currently. Energy Recycler, another one of those that's seeing a lot of movement. The secret rare is absolutely insane. It has jumped up like crazy over the past several weeks. But this Energy Recycler card, basically a bulk card all the way up through March. You know, basically a card that's selling for 25, 30 cents on TCG Player. And now it's almost doubled in price. It has doubled in price over the past month, especially over the past few weeks. You can see even in March 14th or so, the middle of March, it was right around that 35-cent mark. Now it's jumped up, currently sitting at 58 cents. That's just off of its high of 60 cents. The last card that we're going to look at is Professor Burnett. This card, another card that's really made some moves in the competitive field and should continue to make some moves in the competitive field moving forward. There's less and less boxes of Professor Burnett kind of being cracked open, so it's not going to be a card that a lot of people add supply to, but there was quite a bit of supply available. But you can see beginning of March all the way up into the middle of March, it started rising up a little bit. It went from 33 cents to about 40 and then came back down to about 38 and then jumped all the way up to 54 cents. So a card that is definitely one that you want to keep an eye on moving forward, sitting at 47 cents currently. That's about 40% that it's gained over the past few weeks. So very interesting to see what the competitive format does to some of these cards, some of these staple cards. And that's why it's important to kind of keep a look at these because that way you can utilize this to your collection goals moving forward, whether it be trading or selling, so that way you can purchase the next card that you're looking for or whatever the case may be. But competitive play, something that really impacts a lot of things. The collector market, another story. A lot of full art trainers being extremely impacted. There were buyouts on Worker. Jesse and James has gone up a lot. It's a very interesting market to kind of keep pace with and try to keep track of. It's just kind of, it changes all the time and it's insane. So I hope you guys like the content. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, leave a comment. It goes a really long way for the algorithm. Share the channel. Thank you guys so much for everything. I'll see you back here in a couple days with another video, and then Friday we're going to give away this Lost Thunder booster box. If you want to win this, go back, watch the video that I just posted last Friday, hit that subscribe button and leave a like and comment on that video, so that way you can be entered to win. And we're going to keep giving stuff away until we get to 100K, which hopefully we're just a couple weeks away from. So thank you guys so much for everything. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.